My name is Dave Senecal. I'm the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, along with Brad Harriman, Linda Murray, David Bowers. I'm not sure why Luke isn't here yet, but we'll deal with that. On this side, we have David Owen, Joyce Davis, Maggie Steer, and Holly Grosner, who is the architect, and Brian Lear from CCI, who is the contractor. I think that if some of you haven't seen the rest of the building yet, it's pretty nice. But there's some of us here that remember when this used to be a movie theater. It used to be the town meeting place. Probably back to 1964 when the high school was built, and then we moved up there for town meetings. But some of us do remember that. As you go through the building today, there are actually 4 levels now in the building. We have this level. The next level is the annex. And the next level is the main floor, and then the basement. All of which now can be gotten to with an elevator. So if you... I don't believe that the basement is going to be open today, but at some point you can come in and I'm sure somebody will be glad to show it to you. There's a lot of things down there that are very interesting now that it's cleaned up. More interesting before. But I think that you'll be surprised with some of the things that have been done here. I don't know if any of the selectmen want to add anything at this point. David? Brad? I'm sure that David does.
Lots of Davids. I've asked to say something about the history of the town hall, which most of you know, and Maggie Steer is the leading light over here. Will tell you about the preservation, but most of you know, and some of you read my column in the Granite State News, which I've been emphasizing, but John Brewster came here. Most of you know. Hi, okay. I'm supposed to say a little bit about the history. This is a very live room, by the way. We'll have to, deaden the sound with some tapestries. To say a little bit about the town history, but not a half hour's worth, maybe 3 minutes worth. So, and they have a little hook here. But if you read about the Wolfeboro history, including the Granite State News, John Brewster died in 1886. He was not a native of this town, but he attended the Free Academy, and he called this his hometown. He bequeathed money to build this town hall, a copy of the town hall in Merrimack, Massachusetts, which didn't quite turn out to be. Also, the Brewster Free Academy. And I had a call the other day, you raise your hand if you're here, from a lady from Brewster, New York. Are you here? No, okay. Well, Brewster, New York is named after the Brewster family who came over in the Mayflower. And she was calling up and said, she called me up, and she's a historian and a genealogist. She said, why is it John Brewster gave all this money to Wolfeboro, but he didn't give, no one in the town gave any money to Brewster, New York. But as I stand here, this is the original podium used in 1890. I have to stop and think, did William Jennings Bryan, who ever come here, he ran for president 3 times, and did Grover Cleveland, who retired in Tamworth before he died, did he must have been in this room. It'd be interesting, and I'll try to figure this out, some of the luminaries that have been here. There have been circuses here, vaudeville troupes, concert orchestras, governors, and just about everybody. And it's been a pleasure to be part of this. This is a true team effort. The Board of Selectmen and the town manager have, I'll say, watched maybe as the Friends of Town Hall did it, but I think this is remarkable in the annals of Wolfeboro history and maybe New Hampshire history, where a major restoration project came in on time, within budget, and not a thing was compromised. You're sitting on $200 seats, not $17 folding chairs, because everything was... Everything was done first class, the original beams up here, which were discovered because there was a drop ceiling. Well, welcome, and hope that 100 years from now this will still be in use. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming out. I'm Dave Owen, the town manager, and I can tell you that yesterday, November 6th, was my 9th year of service to the town of Wolfeboro. And for 9 years, I've been trying to get this town hall renovated. And I'll recount a little bit of that history for you in a brief form here. When I got here in November in 2006, the town had actually just acquired this building from the trustees of the will of John Brewster, and there was a warrant article going forward for $500,000 for the full plans and specifications to restore this building. So in 2007, I spent that year working with the then Town Hall Restoration Committee and the original project architects, and we came up with this beautiful historic preservation project, but that it had a very large price tag, $6.7 million, and it went down to resounding defeat. That was in 2008. And then we wandered around the desert for a few years trying to figure out what to do and looking at all sorts of options and what have you. And finally, in 2011, we circled back around to another town hall renovation project proposal, this time for $4 million. And that went to the polls, and it was defeated by something like 28 votes. In retrospect, it's a very fortunate thing that that project was defeated, because in that iteration of the project, this great hall was going to be divided up into town offices, and much of it would have been lost. So it turned out to be a stroke of luck that it was defeated. So after that, 2012 and 13, we developed a good working relationship with the Friends of Town Hall, and they started to fund projects that the town would move forward and implement. And so in 2014, last year, the warrant article went forward for another $4 million town hall preservation project, but this time $750,000 of that money was going to come from private donations from the Friends of Town Hall. So I am convinced that it was that element, that feature, that private-public partnership that took us over the finish line and got this project approved. I have a whole bunch of thank yous I want to make for various people that played roles in this. First would be to the Board of Selectmen. Not just the current Board of Selectmen, but all the members of the boards of Selectmen that I've worked with over the years that I've been here that have helped move this project forward. Secondly, I want to thank you and acknowledge the Budget Committee, because the Budget Committee was very supportive, and they consistently supported our efforts to get the town hall renovated. Third, the Friends of Town Hall and Joyce and her band of fundraisers. They've done a marvelous job, and I don't think we would have gotten this done without them. Next, at the town staff level, I want to thank Rob Hausman, who managed many of the aspects of this project and our moves to and from the hospital, and played a very key role. And also I want to thank Dave Ford, our Public Works Director, and his highway crew. They did much of the site work here. And Adam Tasker, he schlepped a lot of stuff back and forth for us. So we want to acknowledge the efforts of the various town staff. Also, I want to acknowledge and thank you our project architect, Holly Grosvenor, who's here with us today, and her associates at the Northeast Collaborative Architects from Newport, Rhode Island. And I know that she worked with us very patiently through a very painstaking and laborious project, and I'm very appreciative of her efforts. And finally, to our contractor, Bryant Lair, he's our project manager, and Dan Patch, the site superintendent from Coniston Construction Company. They've been a joy to work with. They've showed a lot of creativity and ability to figure everything out and sequence everything. It was amazing to watch. So I just want to say that I'm very pleased that this historic structure, which has served the town of Wolfeboro for 125 years, will continue to service the town of Wolfeboro and its residents for another 100 or so years.
I thought I'd be dead before this day ever happened. Thank you all for coming. Public-private partnerships offer a unique opportunity to take community activism to new levels. Public-private partnerships that have flourished in Wolfeboro marry the public interest with private dollars and energy to produce results that benefit the community. Citizens, volunteers, and donors have come together in innovative ways to achieve great outcomes. It's clear that voters approve of this type of collaboration that stretches the taxpayers' dollars with private investment. It's a win-win. Examples of successful public-private partnerships are everywhere in Wolfeboro. Open spaces like Cake Park, Clark Park, Front Bay Park, Bean Park, and just this year, the playground at the railroad station. The Libby Museum and the Public Library both benefit from active Friends groups. Abenaki Ski Area has undergone major improvements in recent years thanks to the Friends of Abenaki. The Pop Whalen Arena and the excellent hockey program have been made possible by public-private partnership. The outdoor concerts that fill the air in downtown on summer nights happen because of the efforts of the Friends of the Community Bandstand. In 2015 alone, over $1 million in private funds has been given to the town of Wolfeboro to enhance existing services and facilities. On behalf of the Friends of Wolfeboro Town Hall, I'd like to thank the hundreds upon hundreds of donors whose contributions have made this particular private-public partnership the success we celebrate today. I'd like to introduce next Maggie Steer, Field Representative from the New Hampshire Preservation Alliance. Maggie has been a long-time and valuable advisor to the Friends and an important part of our team. Thank you.
First of all, let me add my congratulations to everyone who's up here on the stage and all of you townspeople and supporters who also played a role in making this happen. This town hall is one of the most important civic buildings of its era, certainly in this town and in Carroll County, but also statewide. As in many other places, a benefactor who wanted to give back to his native town made a generous donation to build something grand that would benefit and improve the town, instill civic pride, and secure his own legacy. Often these buildings were an impressive small library or a town hall with space for town offices and a second-floor auditorium for community use. John Brewster envisioned all these aspects in the building he specified in his will, plus income-producing retail space on the first floor to provide support for these other uses. That alone makes this building quite distinctive. So too does its beautifully proportioned design, the use of high-quality materials such as brick, granite, and slate, and fine interior detailing. And his gift has served this town so well. How many of you have fond memories made right here in this room? Lots of hands go up. But in the past 10 years, since the town has acquired the building from the Brewster Trust, they've grappled with the challenges of deferred maintenance, changing space needs, and life safety and ADA compliance. Again, issues facing almost every other historic town hall in the state. What this town has done to bring us to this afternoon's dedication is something really special, however. Getting the right team in place to provide leadership and make decisions was key, as was the support of the nonprofit Friends Group. Other advantages included the basic soundness of this structure, its location in a prominent place in town, holding both memories and potential to continue to enhance the community, and the fact that townspeople recognized its importance and were committed to retaining and restoring it as town offices. Were people swayed by arguments that investing in civic buildings is one of the primary factors in the continuing vitality of downtowns? That the greenest building is the one that's already built? That historic preservation keeps more money circulating locally than does new construction? Did it matter that plans were revised again and again to achieve the best value possible? That a significant buy-in from committed private donors boosted town funding capacity? That the Friends and Selectmen kept up a positive flow of information and advocacy throughout? Yes, to all of the above. From being named one of the New Hampshire Preservation Alliance's 7 to Save in 2009, to this beautiful and functional rehabilitation by Northeast Collaborative Architects and CCI Construction, this project speaks volumes about this town and about the power of preservation. It provides an inspiring models to others, towns like Rye and Middleton and Bradford, whose town halls made other 7 to Save lists of threatened and endangered places and have yet to see complete success. Already, Joyce Davis is coaching them. It also offers, and I mean that. It also offers tangible and dramatic proof of how our preservation investment can transform and enhance a place and holds the power to create a ripple effect of greater awareness and appreciation and activism that can have transformative power beyond a single effort. It is my hope and my challenge to all of you that this building's rejuvenation and reuse will inspire much greater appreciation for how important the architectural legacy of this place is to our economy and our quality of life. It is the best evidence we could possibly have that support for our distinctive heritage, our built environment, and our incredible natural resources can and should all work together to keep Wolfeboro the special place we know and love.
Hi. I'm Holly Grosvenor, and I'm an architect. I work with Northeast Collaborative Architects in Newport, Rhode Island. And I feel a bit like this is a little piece of my home. And it's not only from doing this building, but I used to summer here. And I remember going into the library and finding a fascinating book and realizing that if that library hadn't existed, I wouldn't have known about that book. So this place has memories. It's a memory of first for me. But this is not the first building we've renovated. Northeast Collaborative Architects has been in business for 35 years. We've done over 2,000 projects, and about 60% of them are renovation or rehabilitation of a building. Now, you might say, oh, they're preservationists and they're only doing preservation, but actually one of our biggest pride comes from the fact that if you can find a building that is at the right position, in the right location, with the right community, you're not just preserving, you're actually creating a future out of the past. There is something really amazing about this building. And I think it starts with understanding where it came from. I kind of like to think of older buildings kind of like a story. and a little bit like a book. Because when you see a book, you look at the cover and you think you know something about the building, and if you looked at the book, and if you looked at this building from the outside, you'd say, huh, that's a brick building, looks kind of old. Maybe it was built in the Victorian era. Well, it was. But when you think about it, when you open a book, you actually start to read the story of why that book was written, and you might find a story that's kind of familiar. And a good story, I think everyone knows, a good story is worth retelling. Because sometimes you can embellish the things that are important and not embellish as much things that are not as important. So I'm just trying to say that this renovation is a combination of let's find the beautiful pieces of the older building, the building that spoke of the community that John Brewster loved and gave this building for. And he wasn't just building a memorial for himself. I think this building, and by the activity that it creates, it actually is an incubator for a community. Because without this project, I think this community has actually come together more. The fact that you now have this room to use at all times of year means that this community will have a place to be a community. And the fact that this building still exists is partly due to his genius of actually having shops on the first floor that were going to pay rent to maintain the building. Well, those shops don't exist anymore, but the building does. It's a tribute to that. I think I'm probably going a little long now, but I just wanted to point out a few things about the renovation that you might not know otherwise. You know, I'm an architect. I always have to have visual aids. So I don't know if you can see this, but this was the before picture of this room. I don't know if you can see it at all, but I'll leave it up here. And, you know, I remember coming here and thinking, oh, that looks like a great place to see a movie. It seemed a big room, did not seem, you know, as though anyone had done anything to it. And the fact that that ceiling, which in this photograph you can see is the same color as the floor, it had gotten so brown with age, up above it was this marvelous arch, this marvelous vault. And it gives you a different sense of what was originally the intention of the project. The only way to see the arch was we could stand on the balcony and punch up one of the loose tiles, put a camera out there, and you could see this vault had been existing for, we think that was put in, I think, at the end of the 1940s. Yes, the drop ceiling. So that this vault had been covered since 1940 or 1950, I'm not sure which. It had been sitting up there and was in remarkable good shape in the sense that no bits of plaster had fallen. It was considerably cracked. So that started the thinking of there may be more to this story than we thought originally. And we have found this other photo, which is probably from the turn of the century. Sorry. Do you see it? Okay. They had a problem with storing chairs. That's what the pile is in the back. But they used this room for everything. And the thing that you'll notice, we took a little piece of this also. There's a stage and an arch. And we looked a little harder and we found evidence of where the arch was and what the curve of the arch was and how high it went. And from that, due to CCI's expertise, we were able to recreate what I think is a pretty good rendition of what was there before. And the effort here is not just to reproduce the past, but to take some of the good things from the past and say, we can reuse that. And at first it was going to simply be a niche, and it actually became a fully functional stage we're standing on now. So there are other things that happened. And if you talk about the Wolfeboro renovation to somebody else from some other town in New Hampshire, you might say, well, the Memorial Hall was brought back to what it was. And in some sense it is, but in some sense, this is really a new building because we have had to abide by many of the code issues. For example, I don't know if anyone can point out where the sprinkler heads are. It's a test. They're up high in the vault. They're like little dimples. There has to be lighting. There has to be insulation in the walls. There has to be insulated glass in the windows. There has to be a way to exit. Exit signs had to appear. We had to put in an elevator. And I have to say, without CCI, that elevator would probably not be here. They put in the extra time it takes to first understand what the old building is, and then understand how you're going to fit the new elevator into the old building. We try to preserve all the arches, any sort of significant piece of architecture that gives the building its character. So if you feel like your memories are still here, that's partly due to the good job that CCI did in finding those older things, cutting the new trim to look exactly like the old trim, the same wood species. The trusses over your head are the actual old trusses that were there. The balcony is exactly as it was, but all the trim around the edges, this stage, and the kitchen behind, which you may not have seen, are all new. We have a lobby we never had before out there. We have a new stairway. Now we know everyone can get out in an emergency. But these are the things where you weave in the use to the old building. And you have right now, thanks to all your work, your money, your effort, your enthusiasm, this project is a brand new building in an old shell, ready for the future. And 2140, we're going to do a new renovation, I think.
What a magnificent room. Every time I came into this room as we were renovating it, I couldn't believe how it was changing and how lucky we are as a community to have it. The hope is that many nonprofit organizations of the greater Wolfeboro area will sign up to use the Great Hall. One can find the Great Hall use policy and application on the town website under the Board of Selectmen, or come in and talk to Dave Owen's secretary, Ann Marble, who can sign you up. Already, a number of nonprofit organizations are using the Great Hall, such as Gala, the Friends of Music, and the Newcomers Club. I want to thank the voters of Wolfeboro for providing town staff with modern and clean offices, and a special thanks to the members of the Friends. And I was going to ask them to stand, but most of them are in the back, so I'm going to ask them to come on up to the front. Kathy Barnard. Kathy, you want to come on up so people can see you? Ann Blodgett, come on up here. Looks like Kathy's rebelling. Judy Brenninger. I'll leave Joyce Davis up here on the stage. Vaughn Dugan. Ann Hardenberg. Roger Murray. Richard O'Donnell. Sharon O'Donnell. Diane Quayle. Linda Sutherland, Jane Thurston, Gary Baker, Blair Moffett, and advisor Maggie Steer is up here on the stage. Let's give them a round of applause. They are the ones who really made this happen. The Friends of the Wolfeboro Town Hall have raised over $900,000 to make this project happen. So in closing, I hope this is the start of many town and community functions in this magnificent great hall that will bring new life and activities to the downtown. At this time, the Board of Selectmen and the Friends invite you to tour the building. Members of the Friends are going to be stationed around to answer anybody's questions. We want to make sure people see the catering kitchen, get a ride on our elevator. So now's the time for you to explore this new building. Thank you.